My name is Volker Schmitz. I'm the president of Schmalz USA. The two primary pieces of our business is factory automation, which is robotics, and the other piece of the business is what we call semi-automation, which is lift assist devices.
Initially, we started in a very small building, about 3,000 square feet. Got to the point we didn't have enough office space was our problem there.
On the days we received 2 large shipments a week, and those shipments would fill up the aisleway there. Getting all that stocked or turned right around and shipped back out to the customer was extremely painful.
When you're growing 25% a year, you're growing pretty fast. We needed to get a piece of property that we knew we could continue to grow.
There isn't a 2.5, 3-year horizon to build a facility. We needed it sooner than later, and I felt like we needed to find a design-build company that could do everything in one step.
Of a property that they were purchasing in Raleigh. Schmalz asked for a presentation to 3 contractors for a design-build process. They were looking for a master plan, and the needs that they had were long-term as much as 80,000 square feet, short-term closer to between 50 and 30, depending on the total cost of construction.
When we decided on focus, what was a differentiator for me was the fact that they had listened the closest to what we were saying and what our needs were. They contracted with a European architect.
He worked very well. He understood us. He understood our culture. He comes from a German background. He understands some of the idiosyncrasies of German mentality. However, he was unable to finish the project.
And the design, as any design is done, is never made 100%. There's a lot of detail that still needs to be finished.
Focus called us to kind of come in at the start of construction. There were some coordination with vendors on design details that had to be worked out. There were several owner supplied items had to come in and be kind of fitted to the building, so we had to work some details out with that. But again, Focus was right there with us, and with all our heads together, we were able to kind of pretty quickly come to some solutions that allowed them to meet a relatively aggressive schedule, get the owner in there on time.
We had a deadline that was not movable. Our prior building we'd actually already sold. They already had a move-in date. Backward planning that we needed to do in order to be packed up and moved out of the old building, moved to the new building, was just completely set in stone.
There was days where nothing would happen. That's frustrating to a buyer, but that was a frustration that Focus went through with the contractors.
It was just the ability to really look at the schedule and continue to come up with the creative ways to make sure that we stayed on track and still finish the building despite the weather. I mean, they were looking at the weather daily and looking at all the other options, what still had to be done.
We ourselves didn't know, what parts of the project were going to require a higher skill level. And we didn't really even think about that on the front end to know, okay, well, going low-cost bidder on every part of the project is probably not a good idea.
They would approve any subcontractor that we brought to the table and their contract before we could release them. Their process was to take the low bidder and then try to negotiate some additional money off at the end.
The initial tile work was done by the lowest cost bidder, but it didn't meet our tolerances in terms of flush and levelness, and then we ended up having to go with the highest priced bidder, and they had it done in one evening and had it done to absolute premier spec in terms of fit and finish. If we do another project, we would definitely decide on certain subs to go actually even with a higher cost model, knowing that they're going to do it the way we want it. Really is primary over the cost of product.
Overall, it was a great experience working with Focus Design. The requirements placed onto the building by our parent company, as well as what we were expecting out of a building, was not the standard building that you're going to have built.
From the whole energy efficiency standpoint, if we had taken the norm that's used at our German facilities, it probably would have led to a cost that's 4 times as high as what you would have with the U.S. standard here.
We had to manage expectations between the German way of doing things and the U.S. way of doing things. It was a balance that we had to work on. It was a balance that the people at Schmalz we were working on, was to understand how are things done in the U.S. versus how things are done in Germany.
That went all the way through from the glass windows even. Germany spec'd the 3-pane window. Again, that would have probably been 4 times as much. We came up with 2-pane, but with certain tint that would get us probably 70% of the way there in terms of energy efficiency, but only double the cost.
In our last building, we were probably 30 square feet of test material. It was very small test material. Because of the low ceiling height, We did not have a robot in the last building. Most projects were nothing more than guys picking up things manually by hand. Since we moved into the new building, obviously with the extremely large ceilings here, 25-foot ceilings, we've been able to put in our first robot. So now we have actually real proof of concepts where we're able to bring in the same stuff we brought in before, but now we're able to bring in so many more products, demonstrate on the robot exactly how it works and show that proof of concept. It's had a huge impact on our business.
As you grow and as you continue to evolve, the need arises to make more and more stuff locally in terms of modifications. And then as you get to the ultimate level, really doing vertically integrated full-scale manufacturing of the parts. Certain customers can't afford to wait 4 weeks anymore. So that requires us to shorten the delivery times and make more stuff locally.
We had fairly low lead times or quotes to get something back to our customer. It was very narrow, right? So a customer would say, I have this particular need. We could get back to them with basically what we think we can do, and it could be like a very basic mock-up. I think the depth and the breadth of the response and what we're able to provide them as a possible solution, I think happens much more efficiently and quickly. And again, it has much more depth to it.
7-8 days to get turnaround before. We're probably down in a 3 to 4, 2 to 3 day as far as getting test material and giving you an option, building a tool to test it, shoot some video and get it back to you. So we've probably cut it in half.
We've also introduced manufacturing here that was never done before in the old building. We've now started to expand into the service piece of it. And it's about being holistic and providing kind of that approach for the customer. And so in addition to just selling them the brand new unit and the replacement parts and things like that, we're able to now provide service.
Business is growing, the market is growing, and we're able to stay with it. Not only have we stayed with the market growth, we've exceeded the market growth, so we're taking competition growth. If the market goes up 10 and you go up 10, you didn't do anything. If it goes up 10, you go up 15, you accomplish something. Having a floor space enables me the flexibility to do that.
The overall layout was done with a future state in mind, not just the next growth, but 2 and 3 steps forward as far as growth potential.
So if you're growing at the rate of 20+% a year, you're almost doubling every 5 to 7 years. That makes it very difficult to size your facility to accommodate that, because you don't want to have to build a new facility every 5 to 7 years. We started just building out the first 36,000 square feet and then really trying to make it as modular as we can in terms of adding on probably in 15 to 25,000 square feet increments thereafter.
The actual property itself is already prepped. The outline of the property is already built and maintained for that. Some of the initial work's been done.
We want to make it as least intrusive as possible. And so that started also with doing the footings for parts of the warehouse and parts of the office to already incorporate a 2-story structure.
Building's built for solar panels. We sloped the roof and we supported the roof structurally to be able to put panels on it. So the strength per cubic foot is worthy of panels. So it's built that direction. The building's facing the right way. Tree lines have been cut down the right way. It's based for solar. We just got to find out when we're going to do that. Our plan is to probably be enlarged by the end of 18. All the services are in place to do that.
They had a requirement for an erosion control, storm water maintenance facility in the front of the building, pond, that we encouraged them, because of the size of their future facilities, to make sure that the size was large enough to cover the entire master plan project of the 80,000 square feet that they wish to have in the future. We took the client's needs and future needs and worked with them to plan that. They can make the future expansion with not having to cut through as much red tape.
I think, again, Focus being a mid-sized type company, they take a very specific view and focus on customers and retaining their customers. So again, the fact that they value us as much as we value the importance of the project goes a long way ultimately in having a good cooperative working relationship. We were all hopefully honest with each other, and again, if we messed up, we wanted to say, hey, we messed up. Vice versa, if they messed up, they were open and honest to say we messed up. And that can only work also if you know that both parties are willing to help each other.
I would definitely look forward to using Focus again in the future. We're looking for a partner that's able to provide that same level of expertise and actually the execution of that plan. And I believe that's what Focus Design brings to the table.
We've been so satisfied, we referred them to a competitor of ours in the same industry. I enjoy doing that. I wouldn't do that if I didn't trust them.
In the end of the day, we were very happy with the end product. There's only 2 words, in budget and on time. We know we were a difficult customer and feel like they met every expectation that we had.
I think it was a learning process on both sides. You find out, what do you need to tweak, not completely boot back and redo, but how can we tweak the process and make it better. And so I think actually moving into the growth mode, it's just a matter of tweaking that process, and I think Focus understands what those requirements are and could be very helpful in doing that.